Welcome to Code with Steven. Welcome to our CSS external class. Okay, before going to the CSS external, let me teach you CSS internal in a very small way. I'll just use one example just to show you that in CSS you can do your CSS in three ways. One, inline method. Two, internal method. And lastly, external method. We deal with inline method. Now, we want to go to external method. But before then, let me show you how you can use internal method to run your CSS. But meanwhile, what is CSS? Let's just do a few introductions, because since we've not really introduced CSS properly in this class. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS is a style sheet language that is used for describing the look and formatting of a document. And this document, as I told you earlier on, is written in a markup language. So simply put, CSS is used to add style to your HTML. You can completely control how your web pages look without changing your HTML using CSS. Okay? I remember the analogy I gave before about a house or a fence or anything. When you build these things without painting it, it looks ugly, right? But just come and look at a very big painted house. How happy you are that this house is painted. That is exactly what CSS does to HTML. It helps to color your website, to make your website look aesthetic, look beautiful, and look great. So having said that, let's now move on and start our CSS. Like I told you, let's use one example for internal CSS and then move on to external CSS. Okay? Without much ado, let's go on and start this class. So once again, I will tell you welcome to our CSS class. So for us to do that, if you can look very well, I have selected some pieces of HTML. You know all this now. I've got this. We have our H1, which is our heading. Heading 1 is Steven Team's website. And I have a paragraph, a short paragraph. I talk about my name and what we stand for. And we also have another H2 paragraph, heading 2, that I talk about our goal with a short paragraph again. Heading 2, I talk about our goal and a short paragraph to explain that. And lastly, heading 3, that talk about why choose us and a 2 paragraph to explain that. So having done this, now let's move ahead to CSS internally. Let's see how you can do it internally. So if you check out very well, mail after your title, about all these method tags, you know them very well. So I'm not going to go to method tags today. But right now, let's go to the next place. Immediately after your title, just hit enter and come over here. And what do you use? You use style, okay? You use style. Don't forget, you use style. Style stands for CSS. And if you are working with CSS, the first thing we can do is to use style to show that we are styling our work. So once you click on style, your VS Code will complete it for you and you bring it down. So in between here, this made it so you're going to put whatever I want to put. And I want to do some explanation here as we start. But first of all, let's actually add a background color to the body of this website. How do we do that? First, you write your body. That's what we did when we are doing inline CSS. So we won't explain much here. You write your body. Then you open your code browser, okay? Open your code browser, bring it down, and then what I'm going to do? Background color. So type your background color, okay? Select it here, background color. Let's give him something like I want something that will show that you know that it will work. So let's give him blue violet, okay? Let's give him blue violet. So let me explain a little thing here. Here, this is the body. After the body, you have your code browser. This code browser is just like a place that will contain all we're going to write in a particular specific area that I want to style, okay? And then after the code browser, the next one come about is your background color. Now this background color is what we call properties, okay? We call it properties in CSS. This is the property. Then after the property, you have your column. Column is just to tell that this is where the properties end, okay? Then what kind of property are you trying to, what value are you giving to this property? We have a property of background color, so what value are we giving it? We want to give me a value of color. So what's the name of the color? We say the color should be blue violet. So this blue violet is the value that we're giving to the property, okay? And then after that, you do your semicolon. That semicolon means that it's any final end. And at this, what I said is that we concluded everything we want to do about this particular background color. And so what this is done, you close your code browser as usual like this, just the two-way, and then you use your Ctrl S for save. Okay, I do my Ctrl S for save. Now let's go and see if what we did happened. You know, as usual, come over to your index.html and open with live saver. I know all of us here know how to install Lifesaver, right? If you don't know how to install Lifesaver, go back to my tutorial on VS Code, okay? In that tutorial, I explain everything to you completely and practically show you how you can do this. So let's open Lifesaver and see what we did as our workout. Great. See it? This is the color. Look at it here. Okay, look at it here. This is the color. You see it? And this is the color here. So this is how you can work with internal CSS. You can do every other thing we did using inline CSS using the same method. So there's no need for us to start all over again and do everything all over again, okay? You can use the same method and do everything we did when we are doing inline CSS. So let's now move on to today's class, which is external CSS. And let me officially welcome all of you to intermediate CSS. We're going to be doing the same thing, but with little addition. So please pay attention to each addition and try to cover what we're going to learn today. What are we going to learn today? Let me go and show you all we're going to have for you today. Here, we're talking about cascading style sheet introduction. I've done introduction. Now, when I come to external, we're going to do 8 things. So at the end of today's class, I'm going to learn these 8 things. 1. How to create external CSS file and link it to HTML. I repeat, how to create an external CSS file and link it to HTML. So watch where we have been discussing that and see how you can do that. Then from there, we move on to the next one, which is changing font type, color, and background color. Changing font type, color, and background color. And from there, we now come to font family. And that font family, the first I, which is Roman numerals, the first one we're going to do is font family, followed by font weight, followed by italics font, followed by more on font, then line height, and a whole lot of others, okay? Now from there, we go to multiple selector. In multiple selector, we're going to talk about what we did in the past, like parent-child relationship, okay? How does this work in CSS as well? So pay attention when we get here, see how we explain this and how you can do this, okay? Now from there, we move on to number 4, which has to do with adding a line to header and border properties. I'm going to show you how you can add a line to header and how you can create a border and your border properties. We do it small here, when we get advanced, we do it in a very big way. When I start seeing how we can create animation and the rest of them, you see the work of border in there. A lot is for you in this class. All I will tell you is try your best to practice, watch and practice in between lines. See as we cover all this area that I've just mentioned here, okay? Now from there, move on to inheritance and overwriting. What is inheritance? What's overwriting? Watch out for that when we get there. Then we move on to classes in CSS. How can you use class in CSS? That's what we're talking about. How can you use class in CSS? Watch it out, see how I explain that when we get there. And from there, move on to number 7, which is text decoration property. Text decoration property. How do you do this? And we end the class today, hopefully, if we're able to finish it up with web colors. They're going to give you detailed explanation about colors and how you can use them in CSS. I believe, having said this, let's now move on to the first one, which has to do with how you can create external CSS and then link it to your HTML. Let's move on and kick off this class. So for us to do that, I'm going to remove all this. We don't need them. We don't need this internally. So let's move everything here. I'm going to delete everything here, okay? I'm going to delete everything here. Delete it. And then Ctrl S for save. So I will see that it's no more there. And let's also demarcate. Yeah, let's kind of demarcate them also. As you see, each of them will be in a particular place, okay? I want them to be together, side by side. I want them to be side by side, so I can be able to see it greatly side by side together, okay? So let's go there, no time to waste. So as you can see, there is nothing to show. All I write up is just write up, no color, no style, nothing. And this really proves that we've not done anything. Now let us start with the first one, how to link your CSS. Say how to create external CSS file and link it to your HTML. So how do we do that in CSS? Just the way you create your index.html, same process. Come over to file, click on new file, and a new file, name your CSS. I'm going to name mine as style.css. Style.css, okay? Of course, I just choose the word style.css just to explain that what I'm going to work about is all about styles. But it doesn't mean that yours should be style.css, okay? You can name it anything. You can use your name to name it. You can use anything you like to name it, but don't forget to end it with .css. Remember, when we are doing HTML, we always end with .html. But this is CSS, so it must end with .css. When I go to JavaScript, we end with .js. But don't worry about that. When we get there, I will also teach you that. So for now, we are talking about CSS. So it is style.css. Style is just a name I choose. You can choose any name you like. And once you've done that, once you're able to do that, you leave it up, it will create. This is the style.css. It has opened for us. Now let's do our first work. What we did before using internal CSS, let us repeat the same process here, okay? So I don't want to waste time, so I just paste it. You have your style, remove your style. We no longer need a style because already we've done style.css already. So you don't want to create another style again. So let's move the style. Remember, style is used when we are doing internal CSS. And don't forget, I've explained body, I've explained code bracer, I've explained background color, and the rest of that. I've explained everything you see. Don't forget that there's always a selector. Selector is the name that you are selecting, which is the body. We just selector as the body. After selector, the next is your property, and the property there is whatever you put there. It shouldn't be background color, but we are using background color just as an example. It can be any other thing. You will see later I'm going to put here. Anything we put here is our property, okay? Whatever is here is our property. A mail property must end with what? With column. Don't forget, property must end with column. And once that is done, once you put your column, whatever comes up here is the value to the property. And the value must end with what? Semicolon. This is the base of CSS. This is what you should know in CSS. This is what you should never ever forget in CSS. So if you're able to do this, let's now see if it works. So do your Ctrl S for save. Okay, Ctrl S for save. And let's check. Wow, it didn't work. Can you imagine it didn't work? What happened? Why did it not work? Can anybody tell me why this didn't work? Don't worry, you don't need to fear. I'm going to show you why it didn't work straight away, okay? So for it to work, we just have to link it. Link it to our HTML. How do we link this to our HTML so it can work? As usual, come to your HTML, email up to title. Normally, CSS should always be at the last, though you can to put it anywhere. Put it in the body, but not writable. It's always good for it to be at the head. And majorly at the end of all the values you put at the head. For example, check out our head. The last thing we have on our head is title, the 17. So email up to that, press enter, and then let's link it. How do you link it? Click on link. Just type link, okay? As you are typing link, just go to complete it. So you click on link, and rel is equals to style sheet. href is equals to CSS. What is rel here? Rel stands for relationship, okay? That you want to link something. What is that you want to link? What is the relationship of what you are linking? We say what you are linking is style sheet. You want to link a style sheet, a style, okay? A style property, style body, completely a style. Now, href stands for page reference. What are you referring to? We are referring to what? We will now come over and refer to whatever you use to save your CSS. Remember, I use style.css. And also that you can use anything you like, but it must end with .css, okay? So simply put, I'm going to put my own style. So I'll write style.css. So whatever I use, put it there as well, okay? And once you're able to do this, then use your Ctrl S for save. Ctrl S for save, okay? Ctrl S for save. And behold, lo and behold, everything applies. It's working right now. That means we successfully link our CSS to our HTML. So this is simply how you can link CSS to HTML. So let's move on to the next one, which has to deal with changing font type, color, and background color. Okay. Now we've been using background color all through. But is there any background color we can use when we're working with CSS? The answer is no, and you to know is no, because you did a lot of this when we're doing inline CSS. Okay. But right now we are doing external CSS, so we can also use other things. Just all the things that we use in inline CSS, we can apply it here. It's just that to make our work neater. But when we do it right here in the HTML page, we'll go and do it right there on CSS page or file. Okay, so let's go to our CSS and let's continue our work. So let's now go to the color. Okay, now before we go to color, let me explain things under our HTML. If you check here, I have H1, which is our heading, 17. I have a paragraph to our P, my name is, and after that I have H2, another paragraph. After that I have another paragraph, just paragraph by paragraph, okay? We'll use that to teach one thing or the other. But let's start with the H1 first of all. We want to work with H1. So how do we work with H1? First of all, you want to call the H1, and that H1 becomes what? It becomes the selector. Becomes the selector. Do you remember the selector? So immediately we have to get another selector, and that should be H1. So the body will now have H1. And this goes in line to say what I told you before, that selector can be anything. Okay, it doesn't mean that it should be body or true. So these are selector, and under this selector, immediately after you put your selector, you can actually space it or you leave it like that. It works. Okay, let me just space it to say that also if I give a space, it still work. You didn't give a space, it still work. So we want to start with font. As usual, bring it down, and the next thing to do is our property. Our property, that's enough thing. So you bring your work down, and what are we going to give as a property this time around? Yes, start with font. We want to start with font, okay? Let's start with font family. And in this font family, I want to give it, let me use this string, okay? Font family. I will explain this when we get to another font, but don't worry. You'll see that under font family, there is a property, and that gives us a value. How many value did it give us now? About 3 values. Area, alphabetical, sans serif, and it ends with a semicolon. That means this is completed. Okay, we completed that. I want to make sure I'm following what I said one after the other. Okay, so let's stop there. So let's see what will happen. Just like the way you change your font, we just want to change our font. You can actually color this right outside. You see it. You can also add color to this H1. Remember, everything that's happening here is just for H1. Okay, so let's add a color. Let's give him a color of white. Since it's a right up, white should be okay. Or should I say Alicia Blue? Okay, let me give my Alicia Blue. Alicia Blue is okay. And as usual, your Ctrl S for save. Let's see if this will apply. Let's come over to our index.html and then save our work. Let's see how it goes. Don't apply. Just going to waste a little time. Wow, it didn't work. It didn't just work. Can anybody tell me why this didn't work? It's supposed to work. Did we make any mistake? Of course not. We did everything very, very well. So how come it didn't work? These are H1 and this is 17 websites, and we want to come to our style.css. What do? We give him a vertical and area and stuff like that, and we made the color to be white, but still it didn't work. So what could be the reason? Look very well. Look very well, my friend. Remember what I told you? HTML is case sensitive. What did we do? Come to H1. Is this H1 or HI? This is HI. We're supposed to type H1. You see it? So any little mistake, your work won't do. And when it didn't work, you start thinking that, oh, where did I get it wrong? Ah, this guy didn't teach me very well. Of course not. So you have to call that debugging. Okay, you're going to look very well, find out the mistake, and correct it yourself. Now, if corrected the mistake, we make it back to H1. Let us save and see if it will work. Wow, look at it. Everything is okay. Did you get it? It's working perfectly well right now. So, that teach you one lesson too, that always check your spelling, check your spelling, check your spelling. So, let's move on. So, this is, we've given him an area, a vertical, some serif, and we put the color Alicia Blue. And what we do, our color is only on H1. So, it only affects H1, and that is all you need to know. Just do a lot of things you need to about font family. Do a lot of things about font family. Okay, there's a whole lot of things about font family. So let's move on to font weight. Let's move on to font weight and see how we can apply font weight. And like I told you, font family, practice it. Use many different methods to practice font family. Now for font weight, let's go to our H2. I will use H2 for font family. I will take them one after the other, just for you to understand it. You can actually link them together later on, but just follow me. Let's do things step by step. Okay, some people think that why is we doing it this way? Why can't you just do everything once? Don't worry, take it easy. My first year are just beginner. They need to know how things are done one by one. If you rush things, they're going to make a mistake. So let's take it one after the other. So we're going to what? Font weight. Okay, and we want to use H2 for that. H2, then you give a space if you want to. If you don't want to give a space, there's no problem. And like ours, we're going to type same fonts. This time around, we're talking about font weight. So come over here, and notice one beautiful thing about VS Code. They meant to type font F-O-N. Here we recognize that you're talking about font, and we give you a lot of displays thing on font. Like here you have font optional, font size, font family, font weight, font style, font display, and all lot of them. So what do? You just take a look at the table that is displaying for you their names, and then select the one you're looking at. Okay, we are looking for font weight, and it's at 1, 2, 3, 4, number 4. So you click on it, and it will display everything merely for you. It will give you, it will end the property, and it will also give a space for you to put the value, and so bring out some value for you to select. You actually want to select any of the value that is stated there. Okay, but we don't use any of the value that is stated there, but you can actually know, I don't need to know that you can actually use any of this value here. Okay, so what do we do? Let's give me a weight, and let me explain something about font weight. Under font weight, my friends, it just has to deal with the weight of the font. Sometimes you can make your font light, you can make it bold, you can make it bolder, you can make it like 200, 200, 400, 800, 900. You can also give it a pixel. Okay, pixel is just a unit of measurement. So you can actually, where you do this is on font width. Maybe you want the font to be very thick and bold, you know, kind of bolder. You do it that way. You want to be just bold, do it that way. You want to be very, you want it to, the weight to be very much, do it that way. So that is font weight for you, just the weight of the font. Okay, so let's start. I will start with the light one. From the light one, we'll now go to bold. From bold, go to bolder. From bolder to lighter. No, let's start with lighter. From lighter, we choose other ones, and then go to bold and bolder, and you can do all the other one by yourself. So let's make it lighter, and let's do Ctrl S for save, and see if what we've done already for the thing we did now has applied. Of course, has applied. Look at it. Our goals that's applied. But the fact is, because we didn't change the color, so it still remains black. But if you check very well, find out that this our goals, it's much lighter. It's light. It's not that big, but it's a little bit bigger than this. Why choose us? Take a look at it. Know that there's a little difference between the two right now. It's not like the same thing the way it used to before. Look at our goals and look at why choose us. There's a little difference. Now this lighter, you want it to be light, not that light, but at least light. Now let's now go to the next one, which is bold. Let's make it bold. Okay, let's make it bold. Bold, B-O-L-D, bold. Want it to be bold. And still save it. Ctrl S for save. And look at it. Our goals. If you are checking it as I'm putting it, I'm saving. If you check it, there's a movement to show that it's improving. Look at our goals now. Not much bigger, much more bigger than white choosers. It's much bigger. Now I want to make it bolder. Please, everybody concentrate on looking at this so you know that it's working. Okay, because there is only way for me to show you that it's working. Just focus on this. Our goals. Why I change it to bolder. Okay, so I'll just come over here. While some tapping, be looking at this. We see how it will change when I will click save. So let me make it bolder. Okay. So let's clean it up and then type bolder. Please be watching it. Be watching it for you to know it's working. This is bold. Now I want to save. Be watching what will happen here. Be watching. All your eyes should be on this place. Ctrl S. Did you see it? Similarly, it blink eye. It has changed. Look at it. Very bold. So it's bolder right now. So we've used light. We've used bold. We've used bolder. You can also use pixels. Okay. We can just have to make this 20 pixels, and it will not as big as this. It will be very small. But let me just show you that you actually use pieces. So let's make it 20 pieces, okay? And I told you before that pieces is just a way, it's just a measurement, okay? Pieces is just a measurement. So Ctrl S for save. And you see it has gone down to normal. It has gone down to normal. You can also reduce it to 5 pixels. $500 will be very big. Oh. I just want 5, okay? Around 5. So these are what you do with font. Okay, you can do your font weight. You can make it bold, lighter, or bolder. 900. Let's try 900. Let's just try 900. 900, 20, 50, 500. Just any way you want it. Okay. Let's try the 900, which is the highest number there, right? So I'm not mistaken. I think that is it. Font weight. 900 and Ctrl S. Okay. Oh, sorry, we are making a mistake. You see what I'm saying? We are not putting our last semicolon, and that is a problem. With that semicolon, it won't work. Okay. Like I told you, don't make any mistake. Make sure that everything you are doing is correct and accurate. You're not putting our semicolon. Can you imagine? You also have to always put your semicolon, so I think we show. Okay. Always put your semicolon, otherwise it won't fly. Ctrl S, this is 900, and this is it. So this is all about font weight and font family. Let's now move on to the next one, which has to do with Italics font. Italics font. I can use Italics on font. Okay, I can italicize your work. Remember, we talk about Italics when we are doing our HTML. So now it says I can also do it. So the same process. Okay, let's use H3 to explain this. H3. Do you notice something? Because I want to do Italics, I just type Italics and it didn't work. So it doesn't follow that because I say Italics, so don't come and type Italics. No, it doesn't follow that way. Italics goes with font family, okay? So just simply type font family, okay? Font family, come over, sorry, I say font family, font style, come over to font style and choose font style. And in font style, you have Italics, you have normal, you have oblique, you have calc, inherent, initial, unset, and the rest of them. If you are looking for normal, you want to type to be normal, you use normal. But we want to be italicized, we want to use italics. So simply click italics, okay? And Ctrl S for save. Let's see our work and see how what has happened. Okay, that you see it, white choosers, you see it? It's italicized now. If you check it now, it's not like this. Look at our goals, look at white choosers. So we've seen how we can use font italics. So let's go to the more fonts. Let's talk on more fonts. Now, talking about more font, I want to see other areas that you can actually use font, not just on this one that I just mentioned. Now, let's talk more on fonts. In this area, I just want to bring my own advice, which I believe will help you. And my advice also being type of practically. So let's come over to our body. Right there in the body, we want to give him all other properties. Everything we put in here, H1, H2, H3, let's give a body a particular property that will contain all these things, and I use that to explain more on font. So here, let's go with the first one. The first one should be font size. Let's go to font size. Have we done font size? I don't think so. I think we did that. We'll talk about large, extra large, and the rest of them. Let's just say font size should be medium. Let me use the word medium, okay? Then I will explain that medium to you too today right now in just a jiffy. Just give me a few minutes. Then let's go to the next one, which has to do with font family. Let's go to font family and let's use Times New Roman, Times Serif, Times Newman, Times Serif. We have Franklin, Gothic, RNF, Arial. You can choose what is best. I will explain why you're gonna choose what you think is best, but try as much as you can to choose what is best. Okay, let me choose this. Then let's go to the next font. I want us to be doing it font style by style. Let's go to the next font again. Let's go in next font, and there should be font weight. Let me wait for, let me make it, let me say, let's do it 400. Let me do it 300. This is just a practice. It's not as if that's what I want to do, but let's just put 300 just for practice, okay? And let's see, move on to font. We're still working on font. Let's do our font variant, font feature, font stretching, font size. I've done that. Font style. I've done that. Font family. The style can be normal as well. It can be normal, okay? But okay, let's stop here. So what am I trying to do? Remember, the body contains everything in our HTML. All the pages in our HTML are just all the sizes, just like size we've defined, that we go with them. Okay, now we define this size. Let's now come over. Let me explain what I want to explain. Now, if you come down to this place, we have font family here as well. Yes. Now, if you also come to the, we don't have font size, but you can actually put font size here. And when you talk about font can take the form of size, take the form of percentages, can take the form of EM, and can also take the form of keywords. Okay, so you can use any of these when talking about font. We take them one after the other. Let's start with, we'll talk about size, which is 300 that I've given you at the body. So for here, let's use percentages, and I will explain why it's important for us to do it this way. So we're still on font. We're still on font, so here should be that same font weight, okay? Should be that same font weight. I want to make to be 150%, font weight 150%, and I come over to this font weight and I will use EM, okay? Let me use 2EM, okay? Let me use 2EM instead of 2EM. So let me now explain. You notice one thing. For example, we've gotten our font weight to be 300, and that is what we've described. This will be our family, the parent is containing 300. Now, under the body of under our write-up, the H1, we say H1 should contain 150%. That is, we are saying that it should contain 150% of this 300. And we say that the H3 should contain 2EM. 2EM, we are saying that times 2. This one times 2 times this 3, which is 600, okay? 600 pesos, okay? If it's 300 pesos, 2EM will be 2 times 300, which is 600 pesos. Now, the beauty of making it this way is this. As you are working as a programmer, as a web developer, sometimes you give a font and maybe you want to change the font. What do you need to do? You don't have to come over to change all these ones again. You just come over to your font weight, the first one on the body, and change it. The moment you change this, the thing will calculate itself and then go 150% of the changes to EM of the changes. Okay, so that is the beauty of making your work like this. Okay, I believe you understand. If you don't understand it, don't worry. As time goes on, you're going to get an understanding of it. For here, I can show you that you can use EM, you can use percentage. Then the last one is keyword. How do you use keyword when talking about font? Let me also show you that in a jiffy. So you can also use keyword. How do you use keyword? If you check very well, let me just scroll up down to the body. Look at the body. If you check here, what size is font size? We say medium. Medium there is keyword. It can also be bold, bolder. Those are keywords. If you know the keywords, you can use the keywords, okay? Though personally, I prefer using the numbers, percentages, and EM, okay? And I told you pixel and EM is used for measurement. So having said this, let's continue progression in what we're doing. So we move on to the next one that has to deal with line height. What is line height? If you check very well, for example, if you're working on something, notice that most times, like let me take you to this one of my paragraph here. My name is Emmanuel Chus and this is this. You see that there is no line, there's not a lot of space in between the lines. From the first line up, second line, but the second line, there's not a lot of space. There's a space anyway, but some will not have space at all. So the work of line height is to give a space in between lines. Remember what I said, not in between words, but in between lines. So how do we now space this up? That there should be a space in between. That is when line height comes on board. So let's practically show you how you can do this using coding, okay? Click on P because this is a paragraph. P stands for paragraph. And as usual, your code browser, and bring it down. Our property should be line height, okay? As we are doing it, we see it, it's come over here, line height. We click on it. I want to use EM. So let me use 1.2 EM. 1.2 EM, okay? 1.2 EM. And see what will happen between these lines? Let's do Ctrl S for save. Did you see it? It does increase. It does increase. But you may think that it didn't work. So for you to know that it's working, let me use a very bogus, a very big line height that will dramatically change everything. Let me change this one to 5 instead of 1. And let's see what would happen. 5.2 EM. And now let's save and see what will happen. Save. You see it? The line becomes so bogus, so big, right? So that show is working. I just want you to know that it's working, okay? Let's take it back to our 1.2. So this is the work of line height. You can actually use EM, you can use PS, Pesos, PX, you can also use percentage, you can also use keyword. I've explained those terms, so there's no more new to you. You just need that before we come over to this class, okay? Before we come over to this line height, okay? So any of them, just play around them, see results, and continue along with me. Yeah, that comes to the end of font in our study
for today. So kindly go to your Google. Don't forget what I always tell you. Google is your friend. Make use of Google. Google everything you want to know more. If you want to know more about font, okay? And don't forget W3 schools. Don't forget all that one I've mentioned earlier on. Use those ones to learn more, practice more, and get yourself acquainted with all these little terms, okay? So let's move on to the next stage. And then I want to go talk about multiple selector. If you notice very well, when I was doing about H1, H2, H3, I'm choosing one after the other. Is this the right way to do things? Can't we just have a way that we can select all these things and just put them in one place and do everything once? And for example, look, just take a look at this. Font weight, and another font weight. So we are just repeating things. Is any way we can actually put all this in, more especially if they are all the same size, okay? Don't forget what I said. If they are all the same size, let's assume that I want all our things, maybe all our paragraph to have the same font weight. That every paragraph in our pages, in our web pages, to have the same font weight. Do you not start using it paragraph by paragraph? Of course not. You can actually group these things together and then give me a particular font weight. Or maybe our H1, our H2, our H2 should have the same font weight. Should we now start doing them one after the other like the way we did it here? No. We group them together and give them particular one, and it will be very easy for us. How do we do that? Come over, let's see practically how we can do this using multiple selector, okay? Let's see how we can do it. Let's come over to our work. Let's look at this color 7 Teams website. Let's assume that you like this color and you want this color to be on all your headings. Heading 1, heading 2, heading 3 up to heading 6 that you have in your page. One of the headings you have on your pages. How do you use multiple selectors to do this in one place once and for all? It's very simple, very simple. Let's come to our H1 where we put the color Lisa blue, and here what do you do? After the H1, you simply give a space. Just bring your mouse, put a comma for the first one, give a space, put H2, put your comma if you want to, give a space again, and then put H3. Okay, so with that, you've done multiple selections, selected all these things together, and because we wanted to have the same family, wanted to have the same color, which is Alisa blue, and want to have the same font, which is 150%. I wanted the font family to be area, vertical, and sans serif. Sorry, on that font, I forget to explain something. I told you I'm going to explain this area, vertical, and sans serif. Why it has to be many like this? Why it's good for you to choose as many as you can when you are writing a programming. Remember, as a web developer, your goal is to develop a website that you don't know the system that somebody else is using. For example, I may be using let me say Windows, another person is using Mac, another person is using Linux, and stuff like that. Now, we are trying to develop a website that may run in all of these operating systems, okay? They are going to run on all of these OS. So, when you choose area, vertical, sans serif, some of these work on some operating system, some others work on some systems, some work on another system. But when you have a lot, it becomes easy. Like area black, I know the area black can work on both OS and Mac. Okay, why vertical sans serif, I believe they can also work in other OS system as well. So when you have much, if the system comes as they are trying to open your website, you first of all start to look at the first one, which is area. If there is area font on the system, it will display it. If it doesn't have area, it's going to have vertical. If it's not there, it will look for sans serif. That's how we set some set of fonts. When you didn't see any of them, you now use the default font. So if you actually want your website to carry a particular font, make sure you enumerate a lot of fonts that you actually like. So your website, any time that it was displayed, the browser will search for the font and see if they have it. But if they don't have it, before they cannot go to default settings. So having said that, that closes chapter on font. So let's now come back to what we're talking about. Multiple selection. So I want these three to have the same selection. How do I do it?
I've just choose it, press command, you put the three of them. So let's now run it and see if it's run. And it must run, it just have to run. Usually I do your Ctrl S and you see that everything has run, right? Goes, why choose us, everything of the same font on this particular font. But don't forget, why choose us is still in italics because we didn't include others to be in italics. So it doesn't mean that it won't change anything you are doing. Only the only time that this font will actually take over this property of H1. So it will all our headings we have the same goal. So this multiple selection, practice more on your own, get acquainted with it, and let it become part and parcel of you. Let's move on to the next one, and that next one happens to be what? Adding a line to header and border properties. Adding line to header and border properties. How do we go about it? How do we do this? Let's kickstart. Let's move on. How do we add a line to our border or header? It's not a big, you just forget the header or border. The header there is just saying you have that were like we are going to use the heading 1, heading 2, but it can also be in a paragraph or in any other place. Just how to add a border. So we're talking about, okay? How do we add a border? Let's come over to downstream one here. Let's come then. And for you to add border to any write-up, or this time around using heading, you're just going to type border, okay? Just type border. And let me also, under the border, you can, let's choose 1 pixel solid black, okay? 1 pixel solid. So let's not use black, let it be, okay, can we, I think with black will work since there's already white background and green background. So let's use black, solid black, okay? 1 pixel solid black. Let's do Ctrl S for save, and you see it. Look at the line. The lines has come all the way through. Look at it. Each of them, all our heading now has a line. So this way, and then mark them up whatever you want to do. Maybe by the time we get to flex box, by the time we get to display properties, you see how this border will work, how this line can help us, okay? But for now, just now you can actually add this to them, and you can also make it black at the bottom, okay? Let's say border bottom. So give it space, and put bottom, border bottom, okay? So and let's save and see how it's gonna be. See it? There only be one line at the bottom of each. So you can have you can put at the bottom, you can put at the left, you can put at the right, you can be at the up, okay? You can also be in all the places just the way we did it the first time. So practice this, let become a person of you because we need them by the time we start working under advanced CSS, okay? So let's move on to the next one, and then next one will likely be the last one we're going to do for today, and that is inheritance, okay? Inheritance and overwriting. Inheritance and overwriting. What is inheritance? What is overwriting? Inheritance and the body element. How does this work with CSS? No, we're not in HTML, we are not CSS, okay? So let me just give you a diagram. CSS inheritance. Here you have your HTML, and remember, HTML is the father, and then it has 2 siblings, and those 2 siblings are the head and the body. The head and the body. Don't forget the head and the body. Now, under the head and the body, let's say you want to write something, maybe a child that's come under the head and child that come under the body. You want something that will inherit the HTML, which is that will take all over, maybe one color that will take over the whole body, which is the parent element, and you extend to the child. How do you write that? That's what when inheritance comes about, okay? Now let's expatiate on this. Let's look at this second picture. Here now, you find out that this is the HTML and this is the body. We remove the head, right? Head and body is the same relationship, so they are the same siblings. So under the body, you have your H1, which you've been using, H2, if you use that, and the P, which is the paragraph, also been using that. Now, what actually want to add a color that will apply to H1, paragraph, and H2, and probably, preferably even H3 as well. Okay? So, how do we put it in a way that all the color that will come over the body be inherited by all of this? That's what we want to learn now. We've done it a little before, but now let's expatiate on it and bring it out so you can know that this also exists in CSS. Having explained this, let's now go practical and see how we can demonstrate this right away, okay? So, did you get the analogy? This is HTML, this is the body, and under the body, we have H1, we have the paragraph, the H and the H2, the rest of them. We want them to inherit the same color or whatever you want them to inherit under CSS. How do we go about that? We've done it a little, but I want to show you practically how you can actually achieve this using the word CSS inheritance. So this CSS inheritance, when you hear about CSS inheritance and the key or the tree of it, you can actually analyze this and use it to pass your exam if you're writing an exam that has to deal with this. So practically, let's now go into it and see how this can be done. Let's now come practical. If you check very well, this is the body that we're talking about. We want every other thing here to inherit what is in the body because they are all written inside the body. So let's just start with color. Remember, all these things I stated here, they are all in the body and want them to inherit it. Already background color has been inherited by all. But let's now go to color, which have to color our writing, okay? And let's use that to also explain that if you want to color your writing, you simply put color. Just color is for write-up, while background color is for the background. So what do we give our write-up? Let me give him aqua. Let's see if aqua will be okay. Let me give him aqua. And let's use our Ctrl S to save and see how it will look like. Okay? Ctrl S for save. Yeah, I like this color, but if you don't like it, you can choose any color you like. Remember, you can choose any color you like, okay? So, let's see how it goes. If you inherited it all, this is what we call inheritance. So, everything in the body has inherited this color aqua. Aqua. So, you can do any other thing, maybe font weight, font size. Remember, they didn't just inherit only the color, it also inherited the font size, the font family, the font weight, and the background color. They are all inherited here. Okay, that's what we mean by inheritance. Now what about overwriting? In overwriting, now we've given everything to be this color, right? But we still want our heading to take another color. But remember, already every color has to be this. And we didn't change it. We didn't remove it from here. But let's now go and bring back our heading. Okay? Let's bring back our heading. Our H1, our H2, and our H3. This is it. Our font family there, we say it should be Arial, Helvetica, and sans serif. Okay, so it's saying, okay, no problem. I will say the color should be Alisa blue and not aqua. And we won't give it the font weight to be 150% and not 300. So how will it work? Can this overwrite the body? Let's do Ctrl S and C. You see it? So that is inheritance and overwriting. Practically, I've shown you how this can be done. You can use this in so many ways by building your website. If you are building your website, depending on what your client wants you to do or what you want to do, you choose your thing wisely. But know that all these things exist in CSS, okay? So having said this, let's move on to the last one before we call it up for this tonight, okay? Let's go to color. Let's go to color. Let me teach you a little about color. We talk about color a lot, but let me teach you a little about color and wrap it up